Rest in pieces, time for the count. No revival, you're bleeding out. Your taxes, you got a wealthy man. You can have it all, come back and still that's the plan. It's too soon, it's too soon, it's too soon, it's too soon. Help
Hey, what's going on, you beautiful people? Welcome back to our Call of Duty Zombies video. I am the Canadian Zombie, guys, and today I'm going to be going over the most unpopular Call of Duty Zombies opinions spanning all Treyarch games. Last week, guys, on my Twitter, if you're not already following that, make sure to go hit that link in the description and start following me on Twitter, guys, if you're already not. But I put out a tweet asking for the most unpopular Call of Duty opinions from zombies from the community. And that turned into something I had no idea it was going to turn into, and I've got way more replies than any other tweet that I ever put out there. It was my most engaged tweet I've ever done, so I want to thank everyone who contributed their opinions to the video. I'm sorry that I couldn't put everyone's opinions into the video, but with all that being said, guys, I really hope you enjoy the video. This is my probably most ambitious video I've ever made on the channel yet, so with all that being said, if you're new to the channel, definitely consider hitting subscribe for all that type of Call of Duty Zombies content that you know and love. And if you're new to the channel, guys, thank you so much for all the support as usual, and without any further ado, let's jump into our first unpopular opinion. Now, Jake N2436 says that Verruckt is the best remaster in Chronicles. Now, for one, I actually have to kind of agree with him. Now, I don't think it's the best overall map in Chronicles, but I think it is the most replayable map for at least for me and my friends. We always tend to go back and play Verruckt when we just want a quick game on zombies and we don't want to do too much. We just kind of want to screw around and have some fun and have some laughs, just because Verruckt is a really fun map, especially with 4 players. It splits up your 2 players on each side of the map, and you link in the power room, and then it's just kind of mayhem from there. There's no pack-a-punch, so it's just about getting good guns and wonder weapons. You have your basic 4 perks and the wonder fizz, and you got the box, of course. You got decent wall buns, and it's just an overall fun map to play with your buddies. So I definitely think that Verruckt is a great map, and I think it should get a lot more shine in the community because it's so much fun just for casual players to pick up and play, and for the most experienced zombie players to come back to and have a good laugh at with friends every once in a while. So I think Verruckt should be a lot more played, and it should be a lot more talked about as one of the most replayable maps, because personally I think it is an overall great map and one of the best zombies has ever produced. Expert Fusion comes in and says that Voyage of Despair is a good map. People only give it shit because it's a BO4 map and the E isn't fun. Now, to this I only have one thing to say. Point 9. Malik Williams says that Bus Depot is a better survival map than Nocturne and Toten, and I actually have to kind of agree with him. As much as I will not say it is a better map overall, I do think that Bus Depot is a better survival map just because of the lava. It does make training a little bit more difficult because of the burning damage and the explosive zombies that you can get from that, and also just because that when you think about it, there are other versions of Nocturne and Toten now that make it accessible for perks, and even in Black Ops 3 versions of Nocturne and Toten, you can get Gobblegums that can give you Pack-a-Punch and give you even more perks and stuff like that. So it makes getting high rounds on Nocturne and Toten actually easier. So I think because of that, Bus Depot has actually become the hardest zombie survival map, and I actually really agree with this opinion. Out of context, Tim Hansen says the engine for World at War isn't that bad. Now, I will say this. It is a very bad engine, I disagree with you there, but even though it is a bad engine, it doesn't make it not fun to play. So with all of that being said, I think that the engine actually being bad makes World at War a little bit more fun to play than other zombies, just because it's got that little bit of extra, I guess, difficulty with how the zombies grab you and pull you in, so I think it actually kind of makes the game a little bit more fun and overall a better experience. Now, Jacoby says that Classified would be a top 10 map in the BO3 engine, and I'm also going to throw in my boy 50 Callahan's tweet calling Classified an S tier map, because personally, I've been playing a lot of BO4 recently, and I've got to say, Classified is actually one of my more preferable maps to go and play whenever I want to play on Black Ops 4. There are a lot of maps that I don't like, and I think that are really, really crappy maps overall, and I'm not going to get into shitting on Black Ops 4 right now, but overall, I definitely think that Classified, if it was on Chronicles, I think it would have been one of the most played maps on that DLC, to be honest. I think Classified is a perfect remake. It changed everything about 5 in a way that was also kind of new and different at the same time. I like the change to Pack-a-Punch. I think it was something different and new, and it kind of fit the map. I liked it. I thought it was appropriate. There were just things like that that they implemented into the game on Black Ops 4 that actually made Classified a better map. But overall, I can definitely see where Jacoby's coming from, because personally, I think there are a lot of maps that would play a lot better on Black Ops 3, so I can definitely tell you why Classified would be in his top 10 if it was on Black Ops 3, because I can agree with other people's opinions on the whole Black Ops 4 life cycle of that game and how those maps don't really fit well in that game per se because of the playing of the game, the system, and the engine, but overall the maps themselves would actually be pretty good if they had a better engine and was implemented into a game like BO3, which in my opinion I think is the best Call of Duty Zombies game. Now, Alexander says that Mob of the Dead is overrated. It's still good, but I don't think it's nowhere near perfect. Now, I personally think that it is a perfect map, and I would love to explain myself like that in a different video. I'm not going to go too deep into it here. I'm just going to kind of give the basis of why I think it's a great map and why I actually think that it is actually underrated in the sense that it should be considered the consensus #1 overall map, I think, in my personal opinion, but Origins is, and that's kind of the reason why I think to do with characters and YouTubers and all that type of thing. But when it comes down to it, personally, I think Mob of the Dead is an amazing map just because of how much it innovated into Call of Duty Zombies. The Afterlife mode is one of the greatest modes to ever bless Call of Duty Zombies, and I think it really was a great shake-up into the system and into the game and how it meant for playing it and what it meant for even setting up. Giving the player the ability to choose 4 perks that did not include Quick Revive gave more of a different play style and customization, and also introducing Electric Cherry is an amazing perk and also brought something new and a new flair to zombies. I also personally think that a reason why Mob of the Dead gets some hate and people think it's overrated is due to the fact for the Pack-a-Punch system. Now, for someone like me who's an experienced Zombies player, I can understand why it can be a hassle for someone who's not as, experienced in Zombies to go back and retrieve plane parts every single time, even after you've built the plane. I can understand that. But for someone like me, it brings in a more strategic view. I have to have the plane built if I need to Pack-a-Punch. I need to have the parts ready to go when I can't go get them on high rounds. That type of thing. And I think it made it a very interesting concept, and overall, it made the map more replayable for me. And because of that, that's why I think Mob of the Dead is so perfect. To me, it was the perfect blend of new, and it made the map so replayable for me. I played it for days on end when it came out, and it was the most played map I played on Black Ops 2 by far. So that's why I think that although I can understand why people think it's an overrated map, I actually think that in a way it's underrated by the community because I think it actually is a lot better than the maps that people rank above it. And when you have the zombie extraordinaire himself commenting on your tweets saying that it's the best map of all time, you kind of got to take it into consideration and look at it for how good of a map it really is, because let's face it, Mob of the Dead is flawless. Alright, now Fat Matt comes in with a very, very interesting take. He says that Blood of the Dead is the best BO4 map, and it is better than Mob of the Dead. Now, first off, I just want to say right now that I disagree with this opinion. But that is just also because that Mob of the Dead, to me, like I've already stated, is my favorite map, and I think it's the best map. But the reason why I think that, and the reason what makes this very interesting to me, is that I don't understand how you could look at Blood of the Dead and think it is the best BO4 map. Now, I can understand if you like it as a map and think that it is fun to play. I can understand that. I can understand why every type of person can enjoy every single type of zombie map for different experiences. Personally, I like Zetsubo. A lot of people hate Zetsubo and think it's one of the worst maps ever made. I can understand that, and I can, debate people on that. And that's the beauty of Zombies maps, and that's the beauty of this community, is that we can always debate different things, and it's kind of fun to do that. But what makes this interesting to me is that when I look at Blood of the Dead, at least in my eyes, I don't see it as anything unique or special at all. In my opinion, Blood of the Dead is nothing more than a really good map that should have been a faithful remaster, in my opinion, because if you're going to take the top 2 maps of all time, which is Origins and Mob of the Dead, and you're going to remaster one of them properly, keeping it as original as you can and putting it in Chronicles, but you're going to take the most other iconic map, throw it into a blender, completely change the layout of the map, add everything new, and make it something completely different than what the predecessor was, I think that automatically, in my opinion, makes it a lesser of a map. Just because of that reason, I don't like it, Blood of the Dead. In my personal opinion, I don't think Blood of the Dead is a bad concept for a map. I can understand it being different than the original Mob of the Dead because of the fact that it's a different story. It's the crew going there to the lab, it's completely different, it's not having anything to do with our 4 mobsters and the original story that we had on Black Ops 2. But in that sense, still, I don't understand how you could like Blood of the Dead and think it's the best BO4 map when all it did was take an amazing map, completely screw up the remaster of it, and then spit out a new map with different elements of it, and kind of like a member berry map from South Park, if you're familiar with that old episode. That's basically what Blood of the Dead is for me. It's like something new that they got lazy with, and then they just threw in a sprinkles of the old map that everyone loved and said, oh, remember this, remember this? It just felt like a map that they had no idea what they were doing and handling with, because if they actually cared about Mob of the Dead and the legacy that it left, they would have faithfully remastered it like they did with Origins, like they did with all the other maps that were in Chronicles, like Moon, like Shangri-La, like Ascension, and even Kino. These maps were faithful remasters, and I don't understand why a map so iconic like Mob of the Dead did not get a faithful remaster. To me, it just doesn't make any sense. So Riot Davis comes in and saying that Grief is a very good game mode that should have been brought back, and I 100% agree with him here. I think Grief is something different and unique that Call of Duty Zombies has seriously lacked in the past, and I thought that it was something really fun to go and just hop on randomly with your friends. It wasn't something that I played a lot of, and I can understand why. Because of that, it's one of those forgotten game modes. I actually made an episode on Grief a long time ago on my old Forgotten and Lost series, and I kind of talked about it and brought it up. It wasn't a bad game mode per se, it just wasn't a game mode that people would go to and play if they just wanted to play zombies, right? Like, that's the thing with Grief Grief where it kind of failed, is that for that like really like hardcore group niche of players that would like play everything and understand everything to do with each map in the game mode of zombies, Grief was something new and fun. For the casual player, they didn't really have a need to play Grief because they're mostly just playing public matches anyway, solo matches, or having friends over doing split screen and things like that from back in Black Ops 2 and online and stuff like that. So because of that, I don't think that Grief had the necessary audience that it needed to gain traction. I think in today's day and age, if you put Grief into a Call of Duty Zombies game, I think it could thrive, and I think it could be one of the most played game modes in there, just because it's something different and unique, and it's kind of like a fresh take on zombies that we haven't seen in a while, and in years actually when you think about it, and it's something that I think that maybe could be a way to unite the community and bring back some nostalgia in a way. Do you have to make a Grief map for every single DLC map that comes out and every other bit of content in there? No, you can even have just a few, but just something different that gives the game a little bit more variety and something with a little bit more replayability to take those in-between breaks in between your zombie matches. So yeah, I definitely think that Grief should definitely make a comeback in the next Black Ops game. Now, Ryan Donnelly comes in saying that Moon would be a top 5 map, and then he gives off a list of reasons why, and I'm going to go break each one down. So his first reason why he thinks it could be a top 5 map is that if you could carry a spacesuit and a hacker. And I definitely think that is something that they should have improved in on Chronicles. I think that I get the idea of keeping it original to what it used to be and keeping that element of the difficulty and all that, what the original Black Ops 1 Moon used to be, but I think you have to realize that it just makes it easier for players to be able to do it on solo and in other game modes. And I actually think it's kind of ironic that recently the new custom map Leviathan, actually, which is very similar to Moon in the sense that it's basically Moon but it's underwater, actually gave the player an upgradable mask that we saw in Revelations, kind of like, with the God mask and things like that, giving the player the ability to breathe underwater. Now, I think a mask like this would have been perfectly implemented into Black Ops 3 Chronicles Moon if you had the ability to give a side quest, which he also goes into saying that you could getting a side quest to permanently disable and enable the excavators. I think you could also put in side quests to give you like that type of ability in the mask that allows you to breathe without having your spacesuit on, so that you can carry a hacker, because that way it doesn't impede on making it so that you can have one of each, and it gives a little bit of something new too. So you can keep the game the basis of what it used to be in Black Ops 1, but you can also change it and add a new flair to it with the next gen console, and also with the theme of Black Ops 3, because we had already seen masks in different forms and hats and things like that being used in past maps. So I think that could have been implemented into Chronicles and made it a better overall experience. I definitely agree with him having a side quest with the excavators, because excavators are honestly really annoying, and it really sucks how much of Moon is based on RNG, so I can definitely see that. And then the other thing he really goes into saying is that Pack-a-Punch, you should be able to go to it on your own in co-op. I definitely think that is something that they should have looked into implementing, but I can understand why they didn't, again keeping it faithful to the original. And also he says that there should be a quest where you can earn QEDs and Gersh devices, and ironically actually there is a quest and things you can do in the new map, like I said, Leviathan on custom BO3 zombies, where you actually are able to attain Gersh devices, and I believe QEDs as well, as part of the Easter egg, as you need them to help you get along in the Easter egg. So I definitely think that that's a very interesting take, and I also think it's very interesting to look at how modders and people who have taken similar maps like as Moon and Leviathan and then giving it its own personal take and using these type of opinions to actually make a better map in a custom engine similar to what it would have been on Moon. So I actually think it's interesting how your ideas have been implemented into a recent map that actually would have made Moon better, and I really agree with your opinion here, and I definitely think that this is a really underrated opinion for Moon, because if you really look at Moon as a whole, it definitely should be considered a top 5 map, even as it is in my opinion, and I think these changes definitely would have made it maybe even a top 3 map for a lot of people. Now, this is an opinion that I agree with so much. I think personally that Buried is one of the most underrated maps of all time. It is one of the most replayable maps for just casual people on Black Ops 2 when it comes to like the better maps out of all of them, I guess I would say. And when it comes down to it, what really makes Buried a good map in my opinion is the replayability and how many different ways you can play Buried. There are so many different unique experiences on Buried, like the wonder weapons. The Paralyzer is one of the most unique wonder weapons ever created. Vulturate is one of the most unique perks ever created that wish was on more maps, because it's an awesome perk. There are lots of aspects of it that are even forgotten that make it awesome. The Time Bomb is a great cool weapon that's a forgotten part of Zombies lore that is a really cool weapon to use, especially when you're playing with co-op to mess around with people, and I've always loved that specialist weapon almost in a sense. It's one of the first specialist weapons that they really ever made. It was a grenade and a tactical, but when you really think about it, how it acted, it was kind of like a specialist in a way, like it would send you back in time. It was a really cool aspect of Zombies, and I wish that they had brought that back into other maps that they had made in the future. Unfortunately though, I think because of how good Origins is and how good Mob of the Dead is, I feel like Buried gets kind of forgotten as the third best map in Black Ops 2, and it definitely should be played by more people and should be higher up on a lot of people's lists because of how great it is for replayability and also just the aesthetic of the map. It's one of the most beautiful looking maps ever and one of the most unique maps ever, just to go along with the uniqueness of all the wonder weapons and perks that were added into it. It's a very unique map and an awesome zombies experience, and I recommend it to anyone who hasn't played it and anyone who hasn't played it in a long time to go back and give it a second chance, because you might be surprised on just how fun it is of a zombie map to play. Now, my boy Shane coming in with a very controversial opinion. He says that Origins is overrated and it's not replayable, and it's the most tedious map of all time with a mediocre layout. Now, for one, I actually really agree with him here. Personally, for me, Origins isn't even in my top 5 maps if I had to really look at them, and that's nothing to do with it being a bad map. It's just based off the fact that I would much rather play other maps for Origins. Now, I know a lot of people are like, whoa, what the heck, how could you say that? But when I look at Origins, I see nothing more than an Easter egg hassle fetch quest. Now, I know a lot of zombies is that, but there's just something about Origins in particular that makes me feel like I've got so many things to do before I can just finally sit back and relax and play the map and enjoy zombies for what zombies is. Now, that being said, I love building things, I love going on quests to upgrade your weapons and things like that, and I think it makes the map very interesting. But at the same time, I don't want to feel like I need to do that every single time I play a map. And when I play Origins, every time I play that map, I feel like I have to go for the halfway, basically do an entire Easter egg just to go for like a round 30 attempt if I want to have some fun. And there's just something about that throws it off for me. I don't like the mud, I don't like a lot of the elements of that map with the Templar zombies and the generators, and there's just things like that that end up making it, for me, not a very fun map to go back and play like a lot of other people can. That's why personally I like to go to Mob of the Dead, because I feel like Mob of the Dead is very simple. You build the plane, you get the plane parts every time you want to pack a punch. Other than that, you survive until you're dead and you've got your afterlife mode. I think that to me is why it makes it a better map, because it's easier for me just to go back and play that casually than it is to go and play Origins casually, and I feel like a lot of other zombies players can really relate to that. So because of that, I definitely think that Shane's opinion, while being controversial, is not actually as unpopular as people might think it is, because a lot of people can feel that way, because when you actually look at Origins, there's no denying that it is a very tedious map, and there are a lot of things you need to do to properly set yourself up for a high round attempt, while there are other maps that are maybe not considered to be as highly regarded as the top best zombie maps ever, but are overall more fun for the replayability, because you don't have to spend an hour setting up, upgrading your weapons just to go for a round 40, round 50 attempt just to have some casual fun. So because of that, I definitely can see where he's coming from, and I definitely really agree with this opinion, and definitely think that it shouldn't be considered an unpopular one. Now, my boy Bluefoot coming in and saying that there isn't a bad BO1 map. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I will say one thing about this. Actually, I have nothing bad to say about this. He's 100% right in my opinion, actually. I think that Tim is really right here, and he really hits the nail on the head perfectly. BO1, when you look at it, in my opinion, there is not a single bad map. Now, people make the argument to say that Kino is a bad map because it's unreplayable now in today's day and age, because we played it too much and it's too boring, there's nothing to do. People make an argument that Shangri-La is too much of a challenge and it's too difficult and you can't make it to high rounds and blah blah, that's not a good map. People say that 5 is a boring, really bad map with a bad wonder weapon and too tight of a space, you can't train, all these type of bad things, and they complain about it. People complain about Moon, people complain about everything with Black Ops 1. There's something to complain about, it seems like, within the community, and I personally don't understand why. Yes, there are flaws with every single zombies map, but if you look at Black Ops 1 as a whole, they have some of the most complete and memorable maps of all time. Now, obviously, Black Ops 3 has a better game engine, and the maps have a better storyline, at least in my opinion, because of the cutscenes and the narrative that it follows and everything that was done with the marketing. But when you look at what Black Ops 1 is as a whole, each map holds a different, unique experience. If you go play Shang, it's vibrant, colorful, and a new experience, tight corners, different bosses, cool wonder weapons. If you go play Kino, it's a simple, basic intro to zombies again, similar to what World at War zombies used to be. When you play 5, it's a close, tight-quartered, survival, and it's very difficult with not a lot of training places. Moon with the anti-gravity and the amazing Easter egg and stuff like that. Each map on Black Ops 1 had such a uniqueness to it that, in my personal opinion, and I can agree with Tim here why, and a lot of other people did, getting 361 likes in this comment, that Black Ops 1 is so unique in the sense that I don't think that any map can be considered bad when you compare it to maps that actually are bad, like other maps that have been made after that, similar to what Black Ops 4 is. People complain that Black Ops 1 maps can be worse compared to Black Ops 4, and I don't understand why people can say that, because of what Black Ops 1 did for the innovation and what it did and it brought to the Call of Duty Zombies genre. So I definitely think that Tim's opinion here is an amazing opinion, because he's definitely hitting the nail right on the head and saying that Black Ops 1 is good, because let's be real, ladies and gentlemen, it actually is the most complete zombies game for map content. Definitely for map content, has the best maps across the board. Now, the Smith Plays himself, ladies and gentlemen, comes in with his top 3 unpopular Call of Duty Zombies opinions. And I first off just want to say to Patrick, if you're watching this video, You know, you inspired me when I was a young kid to start making Call of Duty Zombies video. It's because of you that I'm here today, and it's because of you that I've made the friends in the community that I have. So I just want to quickly say thank you for that, because if it wasn't for your inspiration for me to start doing YouTube, I wouldn't have met tons of the friends that I have today. So thank you so much for, I guess, being the inspiration of my channel, Patrick. It means a lot to me that you would even take the time to comment on my tweet. So thank you for that. Now let's get into your opinion. 5 over Kino, I definitely agree with Patrick. I think that you are right there, because 5 to me now, and I can understand why it could be for you as well, is more replayable to me in today's day and age than Kino is, because of how much I played Kino. 5 to me is a more challenging map nowadays, and it's got overall more replayability to me because of its difficulty level. So because of that, I think that you are right there, and I definitely agree with your opinion. But what I think is interesting is your opinion on Black Ops 2 being a better game than Black Ops 3. Now, I can look at Black Ops 2 having better maps and think that, okay, maybe in that sense that he likes it because of Model Dead, Buried, and Origins, and even to an extent Die Rise and Transit being unique experiences in their own self. I can understand why he would like Black Ops 2, and I understand also your opinion on why you think it's the most innovative and different playable and most replayable game. But when I look at Black Ops 3, I don't only look at it as a more newer game, but I look at it as a better engine. Personally, I think that Black Ops 3 movement system, introducing sliding, the way you can bunny hop, all the different types of elements there, the 3-hit system, and just the visual, you know, and look of everything, and to do with how the engine plays, I think personally that Black Ops 3 is a better game. I understand why people can give the arguments, because there's tons of arguments against this topic, and I could really go on forever, and I want to make this as short as possible, but also as informative as possible. And basically how I'm going to sum it up is that BO2 is a great game, it has amazing maps, and it's difficult. Black Ops 3 is difficult in its own way, has amazing maps, but also implements different systems that makes it easier, gobblegums being what I'm talking about. So because of that, people can always have that ongoing battle of back and forth of which map is better. But to me personally, what makes a good zombies game is how good the engine is and how well it is and how fun it is to play. When you look at Black Ops 4, the engine is really, really bad in my opinion, and because of that, I don't play it as much as I would play Black Ops 3, Black Ops 2, and even Black Ops 1 and World at War. So because of that, I think that Black Ops 3 being the more newer game, having the better engine, makes it a better game. Now that's just my take on it, but I'm not taking away the fact that Black Ops 2 is an amazing zombies game. Now his last opinion, ladies and gentlemen, is a very, very fun one for me to talk about, and that is that Nuketown is a good map. Now personally, I 100% agree with him. I was one of the people that bought Nuketown for like $5 or whatever it was originally, when it was just a standalone map, because I didn't have a lot of money and I couldn't afford DLCs and season passes as a kid, and I played the hell out of Nuketown. And personally, I would much rather play Nuketown and pay $5 for it than play, you know, Town. And Town is a great survival map in its essence as itself, but Nuketown is a unique experience. It's one of the most challenging experiences. It's complete mayhem with 4 players, and it's an awesome experience. And if you really haven't played Nuketown and you think it's just some boring zombies map because you've heard other YouTubers' opinions on it or maybe watched it on stream, I implore you to pick up a copy if you can and give it a shot and play it, because overall it's a fantastic map. So Patrick, thank you again for commenting on the video. Awesome opinions, really fun to talk about. And with that being said, guys, I'm going to wrap the video up here. I want to thank every single person who commented and gave their opinion on that tweet. I wish I could have put more people in this video, but it would have went on forever. So with all that being said, if you would like to see a part 2 to this video, I can definitely make one. Just let me know in the comment section below. I also want to give a quick shout out to guys like The Smith Plays, Tim Hansen, Greg FPS, and more, who took the time to comment on that video and like it and get other people to see it. It means the world to me that you guys would do that, so thank you so much for helping get that tweet out there and getting the opinions. It's nice to see discussion again in the zombies community. Let's keep that going. And with all that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching the video. If you're new to the channel, definitely consider dropping a subscription. It would help me out a ton. If you are a returning viewer, as always, thank you so much for all the support. It means the world to me. And with all that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching the video. Peace out, take care, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks so much.